The transmission crackled to life, casting a faint blue glow across Commander Lena Hart's desk. Across the screen, Admiral Vraxtel loomed, his scaled face twisted into what humans would generously call a scowl. Behind him, armored soldiers moved with rigid precision, the unmistakable hum of a fully mobilized armada in the background. Lena didn't flinch. She took a slow sip from her mug, its bold letters, Earth's Last Hope, facing the camera with perfect casual defiance. Human, Vraxtel growled, voice thick with contempt. You stand before the might of the Zinthrar Armada. Your planet's surrender is no longer requested. It is demanded. Lena smiled politely, as if discussing weather patterns. Admiral Vraxtel, she replied, her voice smooth and unbothered. Your message has been received. Please hold while I transfer you to someone who cares. The alien's expression darkened, his claws tightening against the edge of his command console. Lena leaned back in her chair, heart hammering a fierce rhythm she refused to show. Calm was a weapon, and she wielded it like a scalpel. In the tactical bay behind her, the crew moved with tense efficiency. Epsilon Station was the last line of defense, an aging relic in a lonely orbit, woefully outgunned and outmanned. Lena knew the math. The survival odds were the sort that made statisticians weep. But she also knew something Vraxtel didn't. Humans had never cared for the odds. You have 1 hour to surrender, Vraxtel continued, voice dripping disdain. Or we will unleash our fury. Your station will be reduced to atoms before your species even comprehends its extinction. Lena set her mug down with a soft clink. And here I thought you'd open with something dramatic. The transmission ended with a sharp cut, the alien's furious glare freezing mid-frame before vanishing into static. The silence in the command room thickened, every officer glancing toward Lena, waiting for orders. She stood, smoothing the front of her uniform with deliberate calm. Status on defense grid? Lieutenant Ramirez, sharp-eyed and grim, answered without hesitation. Shields at maximum capacity. Kinetic arrays online. Smart minefield deployed and armed. Good. Lena glanced toward the viewport where, far in the distance, tiny pinpricks of light marked the enemy fleet massing into ominous formation. Hundreds of ships. Thousands of lives. An overwhelming force designed to crush resistance before it could breathe. A whisper of fear tried to find her. She crushed it. They think we're just going to roll over, Lena said, voice steady. They think because we don't look like them, fight like them, that we're weak. A chuckle rose from Ramirez, dry and grim. They're about to learn otherwise. The first wave came quicker than expected. Sleek alien interceptors, like sharks in a feeding frenzy, broke from the main fleet and arrowed toward Epsilon Station. Lena watched their approach on the tactical display, each red icon a promise of destruction. Here we go, she murmured, then spoke louder, every syllable cutting through the thickening tension. Activate Phase 1 protocol. Keep the grid loose. Let them think we're scrambling. Around her, the officers moved. Commands rippled across consoles. Energy signatures fluctuated deliberately, mimicking technical distress. An old human tactic stolen from wars fought when humanity still thought of battlefields as dirt and trenches. The alien ships swooped in with arrogant precision, tightening their formation for the kill. Lena allowed herself a tight smile. Now. Epsilon Station sprang to life. Concealed railguns, buried deep within the station's outer hull, erupted with tungsten slugs moving at relativistic speeds. The first 10 alien ships disintegrated before their computers registered incoming fire. The survivors scattered in confusion, their cohesion shattered. Simultaneously, the smart minefield triggered. Dozens of adaptive mines detached from the station's surface, locking onto alien signatures, moving with eerie, predatory instincts. Ships tried to evade, only to be hemmed in, corralled like cattle into kill zones where automated turrets waited. The command room lit up with data feeds and terse reports. 37 enemy craft destroyed, Ramirez called out, disbelief sharpening his voice. Minimal energy expenditure. Let them think it's luck, Lena said. Humans love being underestimated. The initial assault buckled, panic flaring across the alien communications they were quietly intercepting. Vraxtel's careful dominance had been punctured. The first cracks in the mighty Zinthrar Armada's armor. But Lena knew better than to celebrate. This was only the first step. The enemy had depth, resources, pride. They wouldn't retreat after one bloody nose. They would regroup, get serious. She needed them angry. Anger made people sloppy. "Commander," Ramirez said, voice tense. "Enemy is pulling back. Looks like forming a secondary assault group. Heavier ships, bigger guns." "Expected." Lena nodded once, crisp. "Let them bring everything. We'll make them bleed for every meter." A low murmur of grim approval swept through the room. Officers sat straighter, fear sublimated into something sharper. Something human. Lena returned to her chair, lifting her mug again with steady hands. The ceramic was warm against her palms, grounding. Across the black void of space, the enemy moved like a wounded beast, gathering strength for another charge. They came again, this time with fury. The second wave was no scouting party. Massive cruisers flanked by pulse-driven frigates and stealth corvettes surged toward Epsilon Station, formation tight, weapons hot. The elegant cruelty of Zinthrar war doctrine now unfolded in full. Where the first assault was insult, this was annihilation. Commander Lena Hart leaned over the tactical display, watching the enemy's advance unfold like a symphony written in hatred. She didn't blink. Heat signatures rising across their lead ships. Ramirez reported. "Plasma arrays charging. Full salvo incoming in less than 2 minutes. They want to melt us off the map." Lena's voice was flat. "Redirect station power to shield harmonics. Let's give them a light show." The deck vibrated beneath them as the defense systems shifted, internal power grids rerouting with a hum. Outside, Epsilon's shield lattice pulsed, brightening just enough to say, "We see you coming." Across space, the alien cruisers opened fire. Twin lances of ionized plasma streaked toward the station. Epsilon's shields flared blinding white, absorbing the first blasts, then buckled under the third. Structural alarms howled. The forward ring took a glancing hit, venting atmosphere and debris like a punctured lung. Screams echoed through the secondary comms before cutting off. Damage reports scrolled across Ramirez's screen. "Section 12's gone. We lost 14. Lena closed her eyes briefly. 14 more names she'd never forget. 14 reasons not to falter. "Deploy the Mirage Swarm," she ordered. On her command, 100 drones launched from hidden ports, dispersing into space like a scattered flock of crows. They projected thousands of false images, ghost ships, fake mines, false sensor readings, painting chaos across the enemy's targeting systems. The Zinthrar frigates began to stagger, swerving around phantoms, firing at shadows. "Reading friendly casualties?" Lena asked. "0. They're chasing ghosts." "Good. Time to haunt them properly." With a flick of her hand, she activated Phase 2, tethered disruptor mines synced to alien frequencies harvested during the first assault. The mines pulsed with silent hatred, embedding themselves onto enemy hulls before detonating in calculated bursts, not to destroy, but to disable. Across the display, one Zinthrar frigate suddenly lost power and spun wildly into a corvette. A chain reaction followed: collisions, overcorrections, fractured formations. "They're blind," Ramirez said, stunned. "We've cut off their battle net. They've never fought anyone like us." Lena kept her gaze locked forward. "They've never fought Earth." But even crippled, the enemy was vast. A heavy cruiser pushed through the mess, its thick hull bristling with turrets and missile racks. It launched a barrage of seismic torpedoes, glowing red like dying stars. "Intercept solutions?" Lena asked. "Not fast enough." "Then improvise." Ramirez didn't hesitate. Firing railgun volley to detonate the torpedoes mid-flight. The railgun screamed again, tungsten slugs slashing through space with invisible fury. 2 torpedoes exploded early, the shockwave tearing their siblings off course. One slipped through, skimming Epsilon's hull and gutting an outer comms relay. The station rocked. Sparks flew. Lights flickered. "We've lost auxiliary comms," someone shouted. "Fall back to encrypted shortwave," Lena ordered. "We're not done yet." They never were. That was the curse and the gift of humanity, resilience forged in fire, wired into DNA. A klaxon sounded as proximity alarms shrieked. A squad of alien boarding pods detached from the cruiser, needle-shaped and burning hot. They weren't just here to destroy anymore. They were here to take prisoners. "They're trying to breach us," Ramirez growled. "Let them try," Lena replied coldly. In the hangar bay, Earth's last contingency stirred. 6 defense walkers, bipedal machines bristling with short-range weapons, powered up, each piloted by a crew member already writing farewell notes in their minds. The alien pods slammed into Epsilon's hull. Metal screeched. Air hissed. Then came silence, followed by thunder. Gunfire echoed through the station's lower levels, the brutal thump of walkers engaging boarding parties in close quarters. The Zinthara warriors were stronger, faster, but not smarter. Not desperate. Not human. Lena listened to the comm feed in grim silence as the defense crews held the line. Screams on both sides. Explosions. Then silence again. "They've been repelled," Ramirez confirmed. "Walkers returning. 4 pilots dead. Record their names," Lena said softly. He nodded. The tactical screen flickered. New contacts appeared, more enemy ships warping in. Reinforcements. The Zinthara Armada had not committed everything yet. "They're escalating," Ramirez said. "They're afraid." Lena stood straighter. "They thought we were a nuisance. Now they know we're a threat." Across the stars, Vraxtel reappeared on the comm screen. His posture rigid, eyes burning. "You will pay for this insolence," he snarled. Lena took another slow sip from her mug. "You already are." The feed cut again. Outside, the battlefield shimmered with wreckage and dying sparks. Inside, the station bled and burned, but it still lived. Still fought. Still stood between Earth and extinction. And Lena knew something else now, something she hadn't dared to believe earlier: they could win. If they held long enough, if they kept making the enemy bleed, if they broke the illusion of alien superiority long enough for the galaxy to see, then maybe, just maybe, this outpost would be remembered not as a last stand, but as the beginning of something far bigger. The third day was the worst. Epsilon Station drifted in silence, scars webbing its hull like bruises on old bone. Fires still smoldered in 2 decks. Life support was rationed. Power cells ran on bypass and prayer. There hadn't been a full meal in 16 hours. No one complained. Lena Hart stood in the darkened command center, illuminated by the cold light of 1,000 enemy ships still massing just beyond engagement range. They were waiting now. Studying. Hesitating. The Zinthara Armada had learned. Every attack cost them. Every boarding action ended in blood. They tried brute force. Then precision. Then deception. And yet Epsilon remained. The enemy had numbers, tech, and time. Humanity had something better. Stubbornness. Lena adjusted her cracked headset and tapped into the secure relay. "Command to engineering. Status." A dry cough preceded the voice of Chief Tanaka. "Reactors holding, but we've got maybe 6 hours of sustained shield coverage if they hit us full force again. Weapons grid is down 30%. Backup capacitors are dry. You want the good news or the drinkable kind? Surprise me. The espresso machine still works." Lena almost laughed. Almost. "Hold what you can," she said. "We might not need to wait much longer." "Copy that. But just in case, I'm rigging the core for overload. You know, worst case party trick." She ended the call without arguing. Everyone had a plan for how they'd go out. It was easier that way. Ramirez stepped up beside her, dark circles under his eyes, uniform dusted with soot. "They're broadcasting again." Vraxtel himself? "Let's hear it." The alien admiral's image materialized, harsher this time, as if even light had grown weary of him. His voice was lower, colder. "You are not defenders," he hissed. "You are cowards clinging to rust and illusion. You are insects defying a firestorm." Lena tilted her head. "We must be some hell of an insect problem." His nostrils flared. "This is your final hour, human. No more games. No more mercy. We will show your species the price of defiance." The transmission cut. Outside, the enemy fleet began to move. "All ships advancing," Ramirez reported. "No formation gaps. This is it. Then we make it count." Every station crew member moved like they'd been rehearsing for this exact ending all their lives. No chaos. No panic. Just motion. Precision. Focus. Each console manned. Each weapon calibrated. Each human on Epsilon ready to die for the luxury of one more breath. Lena activated the emergency broadcast, her voice broadcast across the station's narrow band. "This is Commander Hart. The Zinthar Armada is making their final push. You already know what that means. No speeches. You've all seen what we're made of. Today, let's show them who we are." She cut the feed. Ramirez didn't say anything. He didn't have to. The first barrage struck Epsilon like a divine hammer. Shields flared, cracked, buckled. The station trembled as shockwaves ripped through its spine. Hull plating peeled away like wet paper. Decks crumpled inward. And still, it fired back. Rail guns. Missile batteries. Drones. Defense walkers repurposed into suicide rigs. Even the station's cargo lifters had been wired with explosives, launched straight into enemy ships at point-blank range. One by one, Epsilon's guns went silent. But not before another cruiser burned. Not before two more frigates died screaming. The command center lights flickered, and for a moment, Lena saw the stars unfiltered through the viewport, no shields left. Just vacuum and fury. She stood unshaken. "We're losing structural integrity," Ramirez warned. "Not yet." She pulled up the final contingency. Tanaka's overload protocol. "Broadcasting a last message to Earth," Ramirez said. "Anyone left to hear it?" "Doesn't matter." Lena keyed the detonator. But before her finger fell, the comms console lit up, not with internal signals. A transmission was coming in. From Earth. Ramirez's breath caught. "How?" The feed snapped open, showing a man in full combat armor, his face grim, eyes burning with something primal. Behind him, ships. Dozens. Hundreds. Carriers, destroyers, battlecruisers. All human. "This is Admiral Keene of the 2nd Terran Fleet," he said. "We received Epsilon's distress beacon 3 days ago. We've been burning gravity to reach you ever since." Lena stared, heart still refusing to believe. "Reinforcements from Earth?" Keene nodded. "You held them off long enough. Now we take it from here," Ramirez whispered. "They came." Lena blinked once hard. Then, finally, she smiled. Outside, the stars lit up with fresh fire. Terran warships punched through the Zinthar lines like celestial hammers. Precision strikes. Flanking maneuvers. A fury born of 3 days of silence while watching their own suffer. Epsilon's death had been delayed just long enough. And now Earth was angry. The Zinthar formation collapsed. Confusion tore through their fleet. The predators who had expected easy prey now found themselves hunted. Vraxtel's final broadcast came through, shaky and panicked. "You called for war," he growled. "And war has answered." "No," Lena whispered, watching his ships die in flame. "You started a massacre. We just ended it." The feed died with him. In the command center, silence fell. Real this time. Not from loss, but from awe. Epsilon Station was no longer alone.